Okay, hey monsters. I left a Chromebook plugged in, so hopefully this is working out for you and you're getting it on the smartboard. Please be polite to whoever your guest teacher is today, whether it's someone from in the building or someone from outside. Treat them as well, if not better than you would treat me. I'm not feeling well today, that's why I'm not in class. But we do have our objective. We're going to try to keep moving with things as we might on a normal day. So it is May 3rd, 2019. I can understand friction and how it affects motion. I can understand Newton's 3 laws and describe their uses. So this is obviously our introduction. There are 2 worksheets that I left behind for you guys. One is a friction worksheet. This is friction really big across the top, and there's a reading with it, and I'll show you what the worksheets look like in just a second. And then one is a Newton worksheet, and then if you finish both of those, we'll talk about what force of motion comic is, and then cleanup. I do want to start there actually. We want to make sure that we are doing proper cleanup of the classroom every single period. Please pick up after yourselves. If you need to run the broom around, please go ahead and do that. We left it next to the trash can on purpose because we wanted to make sure it was left out where we can see it and clean up after ourselves and take pride in our classroom and our school. It's kind of something we've been lacking in lately, and I want to kind of reiterate that plan and remind everybody that we need to do that, finish out the year strong. So kind of working down the list of things that we are taking a look at. I said I would show you the worksheets. First one is called friction. And in case you are not already in your seats, please do go to your assigned seats. I did leave the seating chart, even though usually it's just on my computer. Friction. Boom. So the reading sheet looks like this. Some of you guys saw that Miss Wellner's class already got it and you were asking me about it. It is a guided reading and forces of motion. It says packet. It's just a 2-sided page. Answering the questions on here. So going through and doing your best. Blank is what happens when 2 objects blank against each other. What is the force that works against motion? I'm just going to go ahead and hold this up so you guys can actually see it. What direction does friction act in? List 2 examples of when you experience friction. Include a drawing with arrows going in opposite directions. So that's actually showing our force arrows. Friction happens when? How can you increase the amount of friction? Give an example. How can you decrease the amount of friction? Give an example. Objects with more mass have more blank because blank pulls on them more. And what would have more friction between them? Choose one. 2 solid objects or a solid object and a liquid object. When there is friction between 2 objects, the energy is released in the form of blank. We've talked about number 10 a bunch. Consider that rubbing your hands together example, which I would show, but I'm using one hand to hold the camera right now. The second worksheet is going to be Isaac's Incredible Laws. It is a sheet all about Sir Isaac Newton. Looks just like this. Corresponds to our blue textbooks that, of course, you know you'll have to use with a shoulder partner. Has page numbers on there for Newton's 3 laws. Read the information about Isaac Newton's laws of motion in the box below. Next, use the resource books provided by your teacher, the blue ones on the bookshelf, to find a simple experiment that demonstrates each law. Illustrate, draw one experiment for each law in the boxes provided, and then on the lines next to each box, write at least 2 sentences explaining how the experiment illustrates that law. So here's Newton's 3 laws. Law number 1 is going to be pages 44 to 46, law number 2, 47 to 48, and law number 3, 49 to 50. Don't worry about the bonus box, just go ahead and completely skip the bonus box. Back of that page is a which law, first, second, or third. We're told Sir Isaac Newton discovered some things about motion. Put that on there. When an apple dropped on his head, whatever force was behind his discoveries, we have benefited from his discoveries. Here are his 3 laws of motion. You should be familiar with them. Fill in the missing words in each of the 3 laws, then tell which law fits each example below. Which law, first, second, or third? So you can go ahead and just write 1, 2, or 3 on those lines. First, second, or third also would be fine. And then fill in the blanks on Newton's first law, second law, and third law. They're on the front of the page, so it should be pretty easy. Pretty easy day, I think. Of course, you guys love to lament when a teacher says things are pretty easy and say, of course, it's easy for you. You're the teacher. If you do finish both of those, don't rush them. But if you do finish both of those, then you can see here on the demo board, it says, if finished early with friction and Newton's laws, create your own forces of motion comic panel. Be sure to label all forces and draw arrows to show direction. So I left my zombie comic strip up here. You cannot do a zombie comic. You must do some thought of your own. to create it and label the forces of motion that you have in your particular comic strip. So that is all that I have for you guys today. It is a Friday, so since I will not see you until Monday, enjoy the weekend. And a reminder, please do clean up at the end of the period. Any work that you get completed, of course, can go in the proper turn-in bins on my desk. You all are familiar with that procedure. And I hope that it is a successful Friday for you guys with some successful learning. Next week, brief preview, we're going to look some more at Newton's second law, looking at a variety of things having to do with that, doing 2 different lab activities, and then next Friday should be the plan for the actual test on this unit. So that is the plan going forward. Hopefully this Friday, like I said, is successful, and I will see you guys on Monday. Enjoy the weekend.